Sen waited in the brush as the copper-toothed panther passed by. Close. Very close. But it had to be. Sen only had a small alloy knife on him. Not a sword or shield. He didn't even have armor. He was hunting on his own against formidable prey. The copper-tooth was easily larger than him, and its fangs were long and powerful. They would crush an alloy weapon like his knife if he let them get the chance. But by then, it would already be too late. I need to put it down before it even knows I'm here. Sen tightened his grip on the knife. The blade was already dull from the first and only other copper-tooth he had downed. Not good. I don't have any fancy weapons or armor, or a hunting companion, like other 16-year-olds have. I've only started in God's sanctuary, and I'm already behind. It doesn't matter how dangerous this is. I need to take risks others won't if I'm going to succeed. He crept forward, following the copper-tooth's path from a few yards away. He couldn't let the beast leave his sight, even for a moment. Like Sen, the creature was more dangerous when hidden from its prey. The difference was, the copper-toothed panther was a deadly killer. Sen was just trying to survive. Up ahead, the panther stretched out its long forelegs across the grassy clearing, its vicious claws glinting in the sanctuary's strange sunlight. The creature's tail twitched as he crept towards it. His eyes passed over the surrounding foliage. It seems like me and the copper-tooth are alone. There won't be anyone around here to get in my way, and no one around to save me if I fail. Sen took one last breath, pushing out every feeling but raw determination. And I will not fail. In a breathless burst of speed, Sen rushed forward. He brought the knife up, and it sailed in a swift arc toward the copper-tooth's neck, the weakest point in its hide. If he missed his target by even an inch, he knew the creature's needle-like fur would repel the blade like it was nothing. The beast's eyes rolled back as it sensed the sudden danger, its body pulling into a defensive stance. But it was too late. Sen's speed was just enough to bring the knife to the creature's throat, where it delivered a terrible slash. Sen could feel the creature's armored hide give way to his blade, just before he himself landed across the creature's back. The beast, weakened by the blow, collapsed under his crashing weight. Sen tightened his grip on the knife and attempted to drive it in deeper, but the creature's flesh was too strong for the weak blade, and it was all Sen could do to keep the weapon lodged in his target's neck. This thing isn't going down without a fight. I need to land another hit before it hits me. Sen jerked back as the creature rolled beneath him, and barely dodged just as a heavy paw raked the air inches in front of him. The beast roared and Sen cursed. This is taking too long. If I don't bring the beast down now, its cries might call others towards us. And there's no way I can take on more than one without a proper weapon. Sen looked down at his knife and grit his teeth. If I can kill a copper-toothed panther, though, then I might get its beast soul, and a new beast soul weapon would change everything. Sen pried the dagger from the creature's throat, and the panther let out a guttural roar, its dark eyes betraying no pain, only anger. It snapped at him, and he lurched back again. The two combatants stared at each other. Sen braced himself, holding his alloy knife steady. The panther is aware of me. This fight is now on its terms, but it's wounded. Badly, hopefully. That might slow it down enough for me to land the killing blow. It better. The creature gnashed its teeth and lunged at him. It moved at a tremendous speed, too fast for Sen, who had only just begun his journey in the sanctuary. But Sen had keen instincts, and as the beast pushed off the ground with its forepaws, Sen noticed a ripple of tension pass through the panther's body. The wound. It can't fight as well with the wound. Sure enough, when the creature made its fatal leap, it was with half strength, as the pain from the knife wound shot across its body. It was too slow, and Sen reacted instantly, pushing off to the side and bringing his weapon around for a strike. He had studied these creatures and knew how they moved. Now it was paying off. As the beast passed by him, he swung the dagger into its outstretched neck, using the creature's own momentum as the driving force behind the knife's vicious plunge. As the creature collapsed for a second time, Sen listened intently for that voice in his head, the voice that would declare him the winner of this battle. He had heard it before when he had first entered God's sanctuary, and had spent his time killing the lowly beetles that infested the nearby valley. But those beetles were near worthless, the prize for killing them hardly worth the effort. This kill was his entry to bigger, better things. He had the talent to hunt the more powerful prey than beetles in God's sanctuary. The panther at his feet was a testament to that, but he needed a real weapon. So Sen twisted his blade and prayed he'd hear that miraculous voice, the voice that sounded whenever a person managed to slay a creature in God's sanctuary. But instead of a voice, he heard a growl. He took a defensive stance and studied the copper-toothed panther. It's managing to cling on to its life. Probably wants to live long enough to take a chunk out of me. But that sound didn't come from this panther. Sen looked up, and that's when he saw it. A second copper-tooth, lurking just beyond the clearing, padding towards him. At that same moment, the panther at his feet began to stir. Sen's heart leapt. The alloy knife just isn't strong enough to take one of these down. I need to go, now. Without another thought, Sen turned and shot back out of the clearing. Behind him, he could hear branches snapping underneath the second panther's feet. It's coming right at me. Sen knew the beast would be on him in moments. He had to act fast. Like all creatures in God's sanctuary, these panthers were far stronger than their natural counterparts. They were fast, with hide-like armor and claws that could rip through ordinary metals. They were designed to kill, and they were very good at it. Having been in God's sanctuary for only a week and without any Geno points to his name, Sen was at a severe disadvantage. Luckily, Sen had one thing going for him. He was smart. As he wound around one of the trees that surrounded the clearing, he stopped and steadied his breath as he heard the crash of the approaching predator. Before the creature had passed the tree, Sen already knew what to do. He ducked down and delivered a low slash along the creature's side. The beast slid across the ground with a roar, instinctively curling its body protectively around its wounded flank. For a moment, Sen paused in his escape. Maybe now's my chance. The thought tempted him awfully. I'll take whatever risks I need in order to advance. Nobody's going to help me but me. But caution held him back. I can't advance if I'm dead. I'll need better tools to reliably take on these foes. With frequent glances behind him, Sen darted off further from the clearing. Though he could see the second panther following him, the wound across its side kept it from reaching the speed necessary to catch up to its fleeing prey. Gasping for breath, Sen managed to escape. Sen let out a long sigh, sliding onto the grass and allowing the knife to slip from his hand. I was so close. That copper-tooth was as good as mine. If only I had a better weapon. This stupid thing is only going to get me killed. A laugh from nearby drew Sen's attention to a small band of warriors crossing the field about 20 feet away. Did you see me, Waller? My sword split that tiger in two. Sen's blood chilled as he heard the voice of hunters in the distance. While the world was filled with dangerous beasts, often the most dangerous beasts in the land were other hunters. Compared to beasts, men were unpredictable in this lawless land. With no penalties for murder or theft, a lone hunter like Sen could be an easy target if someone wanted to try and rob him. Knowing better than staying in the open, Sen slipped into the reeds and out of sight. Just as he was hidden, Sen could hear the voices of two men as they finished off their panther. Curious, Sen stepped closer and watched as one of the men reached out his hand. A cloud of black smoke seemed to materialize from the air and shrink into the shape of a blade. Then in a blink, the shape shifted from murky black to a brilliant metallic shine. A beast soul sword. The man swung the sword haphazardly, apparently mimicking the fight. Die, tiger, die! The second man, smaller and wielding an alloy bow and arrow, shook his head. Panther, you don't even know the creature you killed. Who cares? The first man grunted. You're just jealous of my beast soul. I'm not. It's not even sacred blood. Sacred blood beast souls are insanely rare. Don't be so picky. Even a primitive beast soul weapon would be better than nothing, Sen thought as he looked at the man's sword with envy. If the man had an ordinary sword, Sen could easily take on the man. However, a beast soul weapon could turn things lethal. Compared to a standard blade, even the weakest beast soul could dominate in a battle. If Sen were to try and fight them with his alloy blade, he'd easily be skewered by that weapon. Clutching his dagger, Sen waited for the voices to trail off. They're probably heading back to the steel armor shelter. I'm glad I didn't reveal myself. If they saw me hunting that copper-tooth panther, I know they would have tried to steal my kill. Sen pushed himself back upright and dusted himself off. There's no use complaining. There's work to be done. So that next time things go my way. He picked up his weapon. Though it wasn't very helpful in bringing down the copper-tooth, he could still use it to hunt lowlier creatures. And he was headed to face the lowliest of them all. Sen brought the knife down on the body of the black beetle, pinning it to the shallow riverbed. The creature squirmed, then lay still. From within Sen's mind, the voice sounded. Ordinary beetle killed. No beast soul gained. If only I heard one of these when I attacked that copper-tooth. Sen pulled the knife from the creature and began to pry the soft flesh from its body. And then he began to eat. The experience was not wholly unpleasant. Sen ate to survive and barely tasted the creature as he downed it. At the same time, he could feel the effect of eating the creature almost immediately. His body filled with renewed warmth, despite the fact that his legs were soaked from kneeling in the river. As he swallowed, the voice reported in his mind. 1 ordinary Geno point gained. The beetles may have been lowly, but they were still creatures of God's sanctuary. Eating their flesh imbued Sen's body with precious Geno points, which would forever alter his body. He was growing stronger by the second. 1 ordinary Geno point gained. These beetles wouldn't be enough. Sen knew that he'd need to hunt more powerful creatures, like the copper-tooth panthers, if he was to truly make progress. They would give him even better Geno points, a reward befitting the challenge. Hours passed slowly in the river valley as Sen scraped together what Geno points he could. It was slow work, but Sen pushed through. He was willing to do whatever it took. As he finished up his most recent meal, he lay back against a rock. He was totally full. Though he had hunted for much of the day, the black beetles had only granted him Geno points. He was ready to call it a day when a glint a few yards over caught his eye. A golden shine peeked out from some tall grass across the river. I'm dead tired. My eyes must be playing tricks on me. Sen turned and was about to leave the valley when a nagging thought stopped him. He looked back and saw the same golden flash from the opposite shore. Sen narrowed his eyes. I'm not going to let exhaustion keep me from some loot. I'll take whatever advantage I can get. He willed his muscles forward as he waded through the water. As he splashed, whatever was in the grass shot forward. A beetle, the same shape as the others, but somehow golden. Sen cursed and sped up. I've never seen something like that before. There must be something special about that beetle. Sen reached the other side and saw the beetle scurrying over the river rocks. Bringing his dagger up, Sen stilled his ragged breath. In one clean motion, he leapt forward like a copper-toothed panther, his blade extended outward. Though the golden beetle tried to climb across the rocky riverbank, its legs slipped over the slippery stones. Sen hit his mark perfectly, bringing the knife down with pinpoint accuracy. He dripped, totally soaked, onto the shining golden creature as it lurched under his blade. And then, at the exact moment it stopped moving, that voice rang out in his mind. Sacred blood beetle killed. Sacred blood beast soul gained. Sen's world spun. That beetle had a sacred blood beast soul? A new tool to grow with, to help me become as powerful as possible. And sacred blood means it's top tier. Sen looked out beyond the valley, to the copper-tooth territory and further. All the power in God's sanctuary was just waiting there for him to claim it. Sen smiled. This changes everything.